Kamaru Usman is making a mistake fighting Khamzat Chimaev. He shouldn't fight Khamzat. I think he'll lose that fight in quite bad fashion. Instead, who should he fight? Well, I think he should fight Marvin Vettori, right? I think it's a good fight to make. I think it is going to be good for the fans, and also it's not much threat for Usman. I don't think he'll take too much damage in this fight, and I also think it's winnable. So we're going to break it down now. Welcome to the channel. I'm MMA Tizzer, and here we go. So rumours circulating are that Khamzat Chimaev is looking to fight Usman. Personally, I think it might be true. I think there's a good chance of it being on the Abu Dhabi pay-per-view card in October this year. I think Khamzat Chimaev has issues going to America, which is why he can't fight there and why he's having to wait to go to Abu Dhabi. I don't really know why, but I just know that there's an issue there. So, it's a good layoff for Usman. He'll have a long time to October from here is like 5 months, I think. So he's going to have a fair while to prepare. But I don't think he should have that fight against Chimaev because honestly, Chimaev's kind of like his nightmare matchup at this point. If this was 3-4 years ago, I'd give him a solid chance of beating Chimaev. I think he might even be the favourite. But everything that made Usman such a great champion is slowly fading. His chin, obviously after the head kick, I don't know how much you can trust that chin. I'm still saying it's a good chin, but I don't know if it's as good. And also, he got what I'm not going to say like wobbled. He wasn't chicken dancing, but he was hurt after Leon landed a few knees and some elbows and stuff, and that was hurting Usman in their third fight. So obviously he's on a 2-fight losing streak to Edwards, and more importantly than that, his knees. Like everyone forgets that being a wrestler, it really does take a toll on your knees. And he said it multiple times. He said he has to walk down stairs backwards, so the pain must be unbearable. So for him to go in there and wrestle with a wrestler of such extreme capabilities as Chimaev, he's got that extreme wrestling background. I just think that's a nightmare matchup for him, and it's not what he needs at this point in his career. Honestly, why should he challenge himself to do this? You know what I mean? Like, you've made your money, have an easier fight than this. He's probably come to terms that he isn't probably going to be going back for a belt anytime soon, and if he does, he should probably move up a weight class because obviously you're older and it's probably better to move up. He's not going to have to cut weight. And the guys up a weight class, it's just fair to say that they're a little bit slower. So, and also middleweight is quite a bad division, guys. But so instead, I'm really thinking he should fight Marvin Vettori. So I think it's a good matchup for Usman because this might sound a bit weird, but they're kind of similar, okay? So they both have somewhat of a lack of threat on the feet, but I definitely say that Usman has more because he's got more raw power than Vettori. In fact, I think he's probably more dangerous on the feet because even though both of their striking technique isn't that good, I think he's definitely got the punching advantage. They've both got good cardio and decent chins. They hold up. Obviously, Marvin Vettori's got a really good chin. He's been getting that tested a lot in his fights and it's held up. And they're both decent grapplers. And obviously, Marvin can grapple. I don't think he would grapple against Usman. I think this should just be a striking match, kind of like Colby versus Usman. And I think this is just a good fight for both guys. Vettori's kind of in a bit of a limbo at the moment because obviously he's not going to be able to fight Whitaker, and he probably doesn't want to fight Cannonier either. So I think this is a good match for him. He'll get money. You can put this on a co-main event, to be honest. I think this will do really well. Usman's a really big name. And there's a lot of Usman fans out there. I see them in comments. I'm not a big fan of him, but I respect him as a fighter. I think he's a talented guy, and I can see why he was champion for so long. But I think this is a winnable fight for him, to be honest. And at this point in his career, I think he's 36. I think he might even nearly be 37, to be honest. So, relax, bro. You've made your money. You've proven to people that you were champion for a long time, and it was undisputed. You were beating everyone in that weight class. And, he's got to come to terms that he's at the end of his prime now. And you can tell he's coming out of it because his performances are getting worse. He looks slower. He looks sloppier. His cardio looks slightly worse. I think in that third that third Edwards fight, he looked a little bit more gassed than usual. He was breathing heavy, stuff like that. Edwards looked about the same cardio-wise as him, and I'm not saying Edwards is bad cardio, but obviously when you saw the elevation difference in the second fight, it was clearly different. But obviously that's just because Usman trains at altitude, team elevation. But so I really think Marvin Vettori is a much better fight for Usman. I think you can put that on the co-main. In regards to Chimaev, that means that there's a bit of a black hole on who does Chimaev fight. honestly, he could fight anyone. He can fight. I think an Adesanya matchup might be quite good for him. I think some people might disagree, but I think he's done enough to get a belt, and he's got so much hype. He has so many million Instagram followers. I looked earlier, considering he's only had like 5 fights in the UFC, he's got millions of followers. He's got huge fan bases. He's got a Western fan base. He's got Russian fan base. He's got fan bases all over the world. He's very hype, and I'm going to be honest, the UFC, they want this guy as champion, you know. He's ultra promotable. He's everything that the UFC want in a fighter. Yeah, you know, he just says loads of stuff. He's always in the headlines. I mean, he hasn't fought in it's probably like 7 months now since he's fought, and he's still coming up in headlines, and he's still a fan favourite. And honestly, it's just the way he fights, you know. He's got a very, very fun style. The super offensive grappling with like heavy ground and pound, and just like he brings it on the feet too. He's a good striker, and obviously he's only going to be getting better. He's 29, but he can't waste his prime. So this is a video for Usman, but at the same time, Chimaev, he needs to get in there. And honestly, I'd suggest the Israel Adesanya matchup for him. Is he going to be at a massive disadvantage on the feet? Yes, obviously Adesanya, his striking is going to be better. Having said that though, you know, Vettori went 5 rounds with Adesanya. You know, Cannonier went 5 rounds. So it's not, and they're not very good strikers. I think Chimaev's striking is probably on their level, if not better. So I mean, he's definitely got more power than Vettori. Obviously, we know that. So I'm just saying, Chimaev could definitely stand there for a while without getting hurt to some degree, and I think he'd get the takedowns. To be honest, having said that, Adesanya does have a very lanky frame, so it could make it hard, but I think he would at least get one takedown. It'd be in his best interest to get it early because he's very explosive, and I think he's got a really good chance to get a round 1 sub or a round 1 TKO in that fight. I just think at this point it's quite good. Adesanya, he's kind of in his prime, but he's kind of leaving it. I think he's like 33 maybe. So Chimaev's the fresher, younger guy, and I think he should get in there and he should put the pace on him and just try and wrestle him immediately and get that round 1 sub. I'd give him a fairly good chance of doing it. I'm really torn between who would win that fight. I think Adesanya would either win it in the later rounds or win it by decision, or Chimaev would just dominate and get the takedown instantly and sub him. But that's a good fight for Chimaev, and also it's going to give him more money. He's going to be a champ, and then he can get pay-per-view points too, the pay-per-view percentage on his next fight. So that's probably a more profitable fight for him. Is it a harder fight? Absolutely, you know. Usman, compared to Adesanya on the feet, much more difficult, especially at this point in their careers. The Usman fight, I think he'd easily win that, to be honest. Adesanya is a much more tougher matchup. But so that's my recommendation for Usman. I think he shouldn't fight Chimaev. Scrap that. I don't want to see that. Well, I do want to see it, but I don't think it should happen. But Usman should go and fight someone else. You know, in my mind, Vettori or Dricus du Plessis. If he loses, I think if he loses to Whittaker and he doesn't need a lot of time off, he doesn't take too much damage, I think that would be a perfect fight for him. I think the du Plessis fight is very good for him because they're very similar, and du Plessis can use it. I think I could see him getting a finish in that fight, you know. They have very similar styles. Obviously, I know Usman's a bit more wrestle heavy, but du Plessis has got power, and Usman's striking, you know, I know he kind of fell in love with the striking, as Edward said, but he's still there to be hit sometimes. And I think, even with du Plessis' terrible striking, I think he could catch him there. But anyway, yeah. So that's my video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe. I'm going to have content come in. You know, we're going to go for at least like 3 a week. So we're going to keep the content rolling. So thanks for watching, guys. I've been MMA Tizza, and I'll see you guys in the next video.